Now, from 21Alive Plus, this is your Fastcast.
Good morning, and thanks so much for joining us for your 21Alive Plus Fastcast. Today is Thursday, June 19th, Juneteenth, if you didn't know about that. But we want to get straight to your first alert weather forecast this morning. Pretty chill today, Liz, but we're going to be cranking up the heat, and we've got more first alert weather days on the way.
Yes, we do. I mean, we have a string of them coming up. So let's go ahead and talk about that heat. When it comes to some first alert weather days, you have Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Now, we have a heat wave that's on the way. So these aren't going to be the only hot days, but these are the 3 worst days of the heat wave. Those are the days when the heat index stretches up to 100. So this is going to be oppressive heat and humidity. These are days where, especially maybe summer camps, outdoor workers, you really need to rearrange some schedules and definitely take those precautions. For people that are maybe a little bit more sensitive to the heat, like the elderly, children, people on sensitive medications, you really want to check in with them during this stretch. A good idea now to check in on your AC unit, make sure everything's working properly, or if not, research where some of those cooling centers are in your county so that way you can stay up to date on how all of that goes. So again, those are all going to be Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. That is the worst heat and humidity. In fact, the tropical humidity already kicks in as we go into this weekend, into next week. It is going to be a very muggy stretch. Now, these are first alert weather days, but we also had a first alert weather day yesterday, Jess, and we were talking a little bit about some of these thunderstorms that we had, severe thunderstorms, and some of the damage. These were a few of our viewer photos. This one sent in from Felicity in South Whitley. We didn't have a lot of people who saw hail, but we did have some isolated cases of hail, like what you're seeing on your screen. On top of that, some menacing photos of some of the storms, which really darkened the skies during the evening drive. Some uprooted trees over by Bern and Bluffton, dealing with some roof damage for several buildings. We had talked about that earlier on our morning show. I mean, these are just a few places with the damage, but Jess, we were checking in earlier on the show. There's one place that's a lot harder hit when it comes to 21 Country.
Yeah, we have that video here. As you can see, that's Van Wert, Ohio, correct, Liz? And
yes.
This is the strongest winds since their 2012 derecho, you said?
That's exactly it. I mean, Emergency Management Agency Director Rick McCoy, he goes out for a lot of these. He's very great when it comes to the weather, and he's been looking at a lot of the damage, and he's the one who said, you know, this is some of the worst damage we've seen in over a decade. I mean, and you can clearly see in his press release, he was sending out that there are over 100 trees that have been either damaged, snapped, or uprooted. And that's causing all sorts of issues this morning because a lot of those trees are down on the roads. So a lot of roads still closed this morning, and it's not just the trees that have been snapped, but the power lines have been too, Jess. At one point yesterday, over 4,000 people were without power in Van Wert County, which, if you know, it's a pretty rural county, so that's a good amount of the population. Now, at least that's gone down from about 4,000 to about 600. I just checked the latest update. So we are starting to get things better, but nonetheless, I mean, this is a long day of cleanup. At least I can say a little bit more mild today for any of that cleanup that folks may have to do.
Yeah, and I'm going to echo what we said over and over all morning long. With such severe damage over there, you know, historic winds over there, thank goodness nobody was hurt, and it sounds like they're starting to get the ball rolling on that power outage cleanup. So
yes, yeah.
Good news.
And we do have more checks in Van Wert. In our 9 o'clock newscast on ABC, we'll be checking in with Brian Costello. In fact, he's out and about right now. He's actively working in Van Wert, checking in on some of the damage, trying to talk to some folks that were out during the storm. So we'll have more at 9.
All right, Liz, sounds good. Thanks so much. And that's all we have for you guys here today. We're just going to leave you guys on a live look at your INDOT cameras this morning for the most part. Last check with WOWO, our traffic partners, it sounded like everything was moving well, so that's the good news. It does look like we have a little bit of raindrops or condensation on the one,
We do, yeah. We have some very light, spotty showers this morning. I think that'll stick around until about 1. Once we get past that, we should be dry for the evening.
Awesome. Good news, Liz. Thanks so much. And thanks for joining us. We're back here again tomorrow.